So then gradually increase the speed of the motor till the tacho voltage is 10 volts. So by noting the input voltage, armature voltage, motor current, tacho voltage, and the time for 20 revolutions in the low speed shaft as per the following table, determine you have to, this is the table that we are referring to. If you determine the observed speed, tachometer constant, tachometer constant, effective viscous friction, torque, and all that. So basically now I'm not reading out over here from this. So you find that next the different formulae which are to be applied are given over here, and the table in which the notings are to be done is also given in your instruction sheet. So now, the next thing that has to be done is that you find that here, as per the table which is supplied to you, you would have to actually apply. This is the block diagram. In the block diagram, you find that after the op-amp unit, you have to connect the PID controller unit, and then setting a particular proportional controller gain, you would have to take your readings, right? So now we will go into the details of this unit, that is the PID control unit. Until so far we have not actually connected this dotted path, that is the feedback has not yet been connected. Apart from that, the rest of it, the forward path, has been fully connected, and I've shown you what exactly is happening, apart from the PID controller unit, of course, which has not been connected. So next what would have to be done is that the PID controller unit has to be inserted in between the op-amp unit and the preamplifier unit. So basically, instead of directly connecting the op-amp unit to your preamplifier and then the servo amplifier, the preamplifier actually we don't connect over here, but anyway, directly to the servo amplifier. Instead of doing that, the op-amp output will go to the PID controller unit, and from there we connect to the servo amplifier unit. For our experiment, we have not used the preamplifier unit, which is just another stage of amplification, right? So function wise, you have this stage, that is a summing amplifier which amplifies, and then again you have a pre-amplifier unit you may have, that's optional. Then you have the servo amplifier unit. So all these are serving the purpose of amplification. In our particular experimental setup that we have in the control systems lab, we do not connect the pre-amplifier unit separately. We use only the summing amp and the servo amplifier unit, but anyway. So now we'll come to the details of the PID controller unit, without which you would not be able to take the rest of the readings. So the PID unit next. So first of all, this is the unit you can see, right? And you have to apply the power supply to the PID unit separately, right? So you can see the plus 15 volt, 0 volt and minus 15 volt terminals over here, which have to be respectively connected to the terminals of the power supply unit. So you connect this end to the your plus 15 volts of the power supply unit, this terminal to the 0 volt of the power supply unit, etc. So minus 15 to the minus 15 volts of the power supply unit. So that is the first connection that has to be done as far as the PID controller unit is concerned. Next, we have a closer look at what are present on the panel, the front panel, right? So here we find that there are several switches, this one and this one and this one. You can see those are switches where you have in out written. On each switch you have in out written over there, right? So each in out switch must be placed appropriately to include or exclude a particular control action. So in means that that control action is included, out means that that control action is excluded, right? So basically, depending on whether you want say proportional controller, you will set the corresponding switch to the in position. If you don't want it, you set it to the out position. Similarly for all the other units. Sorry Sorry means actually the units that the switches that I'm referring to are marked with the red arrow over here specifically. So you find 3 of such switches that are marked with in and out. So this one is in out. You can see, you can trace it. It goes to the, this is the proportional controller unit, right? So this switch, when placed in the in position, will include the proportional controller. When it is placed in the out position, it will exclude the proportional controller. Similarly, now the next one that we see. This one is actually connected to the integral controller unit. So this switch, when placed in the in position, will include your integral controller, whereas out will mean that that is excluded. And is the third one, this one. So this is the third switch, which is connected to the derivative controller unit. So when this is switched into the in position, it will include the derivative controller. When it's put in the out position, it will exclude the derivative controller, right? Next, we also find another three switches which are marked with a blue arrow. Those are separate. So that actually is this one. That is the multiplier switches are indicated by the blue arrows. Those are also switches looking similar, but those are multipliers. So the multiplier switches can be used to select the values of the controller gains. So say for example, this multiplier switch is connected to the proportional controller. So if you switch it to the you see multiplied by 1 multiplied by 10. So basically if you put it to the 1 position, it means that if the setting over here is 5 units, then your gain is 5, right? If it is or rather I think I think it's 0 0.1, 0 0.2, 0 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. So 0.5 into 1 will give you a 0.5 kp value, right? Whereas if you switch this multiplier to the 10 position, the 0.5 position over here will indicate 0.5 into 10, which is 5 units for the kp value. Similarly, for the pi and td, you have the option of putting the multiplier switch either into the 1 or the 10 position, which is going to multiply by a factor of either 1 or 10 according to your setting. So for the three blocks, meaning the derivative, the proportional and the integral, you have three separate multiplier switches. Okay. So when P control or PI control is used, the input should be applied to this particular point, which is called, or I mean it's marked as the input error point. So this is the point where you would have to make the connection, meaning that say for example, if the output of the output of the operational amplifier is coming to your PID controller unit, then the output of the op amp should be connected to this particular point, right? It is called this input error because usually your error signal will be what you are applying over here. So it's actually already called input error, right? So in case you are, using the PID controller unit either in the P mode or in the PI control mode, P control mode or PI control mode, you would be applying the input to this particular point over here. In case you are using the derivative controller as well, you would have to make an additional connection over here. So this unit, this derivative unit, has to be directly connected to this point separately, externally, right? By using another probe from outside, if you want the D controller to be included, right? So in case you are using a proportional controller, this connection is not required. If you are using a PI controller as well, this connection is not required. If you are using a PIT controller, yes, this is also required. If you are using the PD controller, then also this connection would be required, but you have to switch off your integral control unit. So I mean this integral controller switch will be in the out position, and then you will be having the P and the D, right? So that is the way it works as far as the your unit is concerned. Right. So as the table is shown over here, a table for taking down the experimental data is shown over here, where you would have to note the error voltage as well, right? So keep the brake at position 2, switch off the power supply and connect the system as a speed control servo with the proportional gain set to a particular value, 0.2 into 1. So I mean the PID controller unit, you would have to use it in the proportional control mode and set the value at 0.2 into 1 for the kp value, right? So that means that the integral controller switch has to be set to 0 or not 0, that is in out, so out position. Similarly, derivative unit would be in out position. Only the proportional controllers which would be in the in position. Now you would have to note what is called the error voltage. So error voltage means that you would have to take the output from the op amp. So output of the op amp is what the error voltage is, because this is the summing amplifier. So this point is the point where you are going to get the error from, right? So from there, you will have to connect the multimeter over here and take the readings. Okay, so next, what we have is, okay, I'll try to put it in the slideshow mode so that you can have a look at this, the readings. Though actually I'll be mailing to the common mail ID just one page of this handwritten report where the experimental data is given, but just for your benefit I'm showing it. Is it visible? I hope it's visible, right? If not, just let me know. So here you find that, is it visible? The whole screen should be visible, right?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Ah. So this is the run one, that's the open loop one. So by varying the different, I mean, the break position, putting it to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, you would be having to note this. That is the input voltage VI at the preamplifier, and then the your motor current, armature voltage, and then the your compute the tacho voltage and this and the sorry no, you have to note the tacho voltage and also the time taken for 20 revolutions. So these things are actually going to be supplied to you. The whole of this table you will be getting. Next, this is the closed loop configuration, where now you would have to here it's not visible. This is the first two, that is there are three divisions you can see over here. The first one is for a kp value equal to 0.2, so proportional controller set to 0.2, and then changing the brake positions. You have whoever has done the experiment has actually noted the tacho voltage, motor speed, and the error voltage, right? So, I mean, from there, the rest can be done. So, you actually, for zero point 0.2 and for 0.6 kp value, this has been, tabulation has been done. And for next, what has been done is that PI mode has been used. So, over here you can see kp is equal to 0.2 and TI is equal to 0.1. So, the error voltage has been also noted. So here from these runs, what you see is, and then the error RPM and the motor current also are there. So basically what you see over here is that by increasing the proportional controller gain, you would have theoretically learned it at some point, maybe the in your PIC, that is process instrumentation or control, or elsewhere. In fact, I think even in the control systems class in the third years, we tell this thing. That is when the proportional controller gain is increased, when the proportional controller gain is increased, the error basically would be the steady state error is what I'm referring to, basically would be decreasing. So you see 0.2 over here is the proportional controller gain. For a brake setting of 2, you find that the error voltage was 0.28, whereas for a similar brake setting over here for kp equal to 0.6, you find that the error voltage has decreased. So corresponding to each particular brake position, you will see that increase in the proportional controller gain has reduced the error voltage, right? So that is one of the, and I mean consequently the error RPM as well. So that is one of the notings from this particular your table. Another thing is that you find that in the PI controller mode, you find that because the integral controller, you have also studied that whenever you put in an integral controller component, what happens is that the error reduces much further, right? So basically, you find that here again, uh, for this particular setting, the error has reduced a lot from what it was earlier. So earlier means, say for a proportional controller setting of 0.6, brake setting of 2, the value was 0.1, whereas for the same brake setting for PI controller, it has become 0.01. Similarly for the others, right? So here actually the value is so small that it's, I mean, looking to be almost the same value. I mean, maybe in the third or fourth place of decimal there is a variation, but when we are taking experimental data, we don't go into that much of details, because in any case, I mean, what you are seeing is an approximation of the value that is actually there, because there would be instrumental errors and lots of other factors to be considered. So anyway, the least we can see, I mean, from this is that in the PI controller mode, the error voltage is much lesser. It has been reduced compared to the proportional control mode, right? So to sum it up, you would have to actually, I'll give you the experimental data for the two runs that you have been shown. And next, what you would have to do is you would have to complete the report based on those readings itself, and then submit the report in soft copy form to the email ID from which you were sent the link for the meeting, that is smita.sadhughosh@jadavpuruniversity.in, right? So basically, in the report, you would be requiring to tabulate the results that, of course, is already done. So appropriate diagrams, meaning the block diagram, you have to redraw. Now, that is already there in your instruction sheet. So, I mean, as far as the table of results is concerned, I'll be giving you the table, only you have to copy that, right? And diagram from the instruction sheet, meaning the block diagram. Now, the next thing that is you have to draw a signal flow graph of the closed loop system. So this number 2 has to be done in your report, right? The next thing, that is 3, is also to be done, right? And number 4 is a plot. So you would have to use a graph paper and then, I mean, plot the speed torque characteristics. So the respective expressions are given over here, and the values of the constants are also provided to you, based on which you would have to calculate the torque and then, I mean, do the plotting. So that is, I mean, actually all as far as this particular experiment is concerned. The rest of it you would have, I mean, be getting the experimental, your the data, I mean, and you would have to go through your instruction sheet and do the proper calculations, and then draw the signal flow graph, draw the calculate the torque, and then you would have to also uh, do the plot, and then send a PDF of your report to the mail ID from which the link was given to you, right? So can anybody tell me how you would be able to calculate the, okay, so how you would be, I'll show you that sheet, of course, this one, how you would be able to get the torque. What happened? How would you be able to get the motor torque?
Ma'am, the motor torque constant into the maximum motor current.
Yes, isn't it? So you have the motor torque constant given to you in Newton meter per ampere. So from the motor current, you would be able to get the motor torque. So corresponding to each, I mean, your motor current, you would be able to actually get the corresponding torque, and then you would be able to plot it as well. Hmm. So, okay, that is as far as this particular experiment is concerned. I'll be sending you the email, by email, I mean, mm, this experimental data, as I have told you, by tomorrow, I hope. And here now, I'll be stopping the recording and stopping the presenting. Any latecomers or those of you who have not given your